Text size 18.
This is the sausage. Thanks for looking at our sausage. Please don't clip that out of context.
Thanks for checking out the sausage here at Nephilim.
Yep. All right, cool. Everything's fixed. You can hear us. You can read our captions. We're good to actually play a game now, and it only took 28 minutes. Welcome, everyone, to Live from the Apocalypse. This is the channel where we stream tabletop RPG games for charitable causes, aid organizations, nonprofits, things like that. Yeah, we are currently raising money for Planned Parenthood, which is a great organization that needs no introduction. The work that they do with reproductive education, reproductive rights, access to abortion, and healthcare, not just for women, but also for men. Not a lot of people know that, is, so important, so critical, and they obviously have been facing a lot of adversity these past few years. So, yeah, if at any point during the stream you like what you see here and you are motivated to donate, you can hit !PP donate in the chat. Yes, it is funny. Yes, it is also the real link. And that will call up the donate link, and that'll trigger a fun little alert. You can make the McElroy brothers scream at us, which is a good time. And yeah, if you donate during the stream, you can choose to give one of our players advantage on a roll that they're going to make. We also have channel points. They're called drugs. We're not going to apologize for that. You can spend them on a variety of things, but one of your options is to give inspiration. And in this game, inspiration is basically just a +1 bonus to a roll that they are going to make in the future. So you can use your channel points to benefit them. You can donate to benefit the players, and just generally help them do better at the game. They need all the help they can get. So
I was going to say, I like how you made it only advantage, that you didn't make disadvantage an option. I think that's a strong choice.
It just felt not fun.
We also
like
don't
your mortal
need
enemy could come into the stream. Oh, I am capping out. Sorry about that. That looked really bad. Yeah, I don't want your mortal enemy coming into the stream and just like making all of your rolls fail. That would suck.
Well, we just don't need the help either. It's been a nightmare.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think is that all of the housekeeping? I think that's all of the housekeeping. Yeah. So unlike other channels, you are welcome to subscribe to us if you want. You don't have to do that. We do have some cute little emotes that you get access to, but we also have them set so you can access them very cheaply with channel points. It only costs like 70, I think, to unlock, and I think you get that many just for like joining the stream. So, yeah, this is Haz. He's our mascot. He's super cute. So feel free to do that. You don't have to subscribe to get access to them. We would rather you donate because the organizations deserve it a lot more than we do, and they're going to do a lot more good work with it. So yeah, all of that being said, let's get into it. Last time we played Nephilim back in December, we ended on kind of a cliffhanger. The overall plot of this game is you all are a down and out scrapper crew. Obviously, also, we're down a couple members tonight just due to various malaise and illnesses and things like that. It's rough for everybody, but we decided to power through with half our crew. So, yeah, you are currently in the middle of a lot of different conflicts. You're trying to figure out what happened to your captain, Grace Miller. You're trying to make enough money to keep your ship flying. And currently, you've been enlisted by local crime boss Marcus Pike, an old associate of Ellis's, to prevent the mega corporation Zone Beverages from setting up shop in San Antonio. And that has not been going particularly well. Although
what are you talking about?
Last time. What could I be referring to? I don't know. It's crazy. Espionage. You're all so good at the lying and the sneaking and the espionage.
Old hands of espionage.
That's
I
Maeve's
think last
strong
session,
suit.
Exactly. I think last session, if I recall correctly, you did espionage by shooting a vending machine.
Yeah.
So
spycraft. That's how it's done. Listen,
so
you gotta get daggers in the dark.
Right, exactly. But you did get one good lead. You learned that Kaori Izumi is the head of security for Zone's San Antonio operation. You also learned that she is a former member of the Takamagahara Orbital Platform Defense Force. She was a soldier essentially, and she was trying to earn citizenship in the space platform. But she was discharged dishonorably on the cusp of crossing that mark and actually getting the citizenship. So she has a bone to pick with Takamagahara. She is not a fan. And as you are aware, Marcus Pike's only real suggestion to you in how to proceed with this was to convince Takamagahara that they should take a vested interest in keeping the Zone Beverage Company from making San Antonio their base of operations. You went looking for Kaori at the local whiskey bar where she drinks. And you found her. You were asking too many questions. And
I
before you
disagree.
know it,
I think I was asking the right number of questions.
well, you can take that up with her in just a second. But before you knew it, you heard a voice from behind you say, "Who's asking about me?" And when you turned around, you saw a woman standing there with a gun pointed at you. And a hush, quiet fell over the rest of the bar.
Spycraft. Listen,
Spycraft.
that's how it's done.
Would you like to take this opportunity to remind everyone what we see when Ellis turns around? What does Ellis look like? Who is he?
Ellis Maldonado is a rough and tumble old miner who also used to be a member of the Jovian Mining Consolidate as a security agent, i.e. a space Pinkerton, but has since moved into scrapping for many years. So we are talking about a very grizzled gentleman in his late 30s, though he looks like perhaps he's in his late 40s. Seemingly always covered in some amount of dust that no one can quite determine where it comes from. And generally packing some various accoutrement of weaponry and dangerous goods. And usually, if things have been going well enough and we can afford our bell peppers and beef, reeking of some amount of brown liquor. Yeah, grizzled and unpleasant. Worn, weary, stubborn, and suspicious are his standard 4 as per our fusion drive rulings. His description tag. But he is a hound as well, for those who are unfamiliar with the system. This means Ellis is nominally a bounty hunter. So primarily he hunts information and isn't out there trying to kill folks. Yeah. But that is his character class.
You hunt people down, but not necessarily for money.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And facing you as you turn around, you see this person who is pointing a gun at you. This person who is presumably Kaori Izumi, as she said, "Who's asking for my name?" And so she is a woman of middling years. She is very serious looking, very severe looking. Her hair is cut short in a military style. Clearly has the bearing of a soldier. And she is very solidly built. She is wearing she's actually pretty well dressed in like business attire, although she has taken off the jacket of the suit that she is wearing. And you can see, as a result of that, her shoulder holster, where she pulled the sidearm that she is currently pointing at you. What do you do?
I mean, I'm unflapped by such things. Having a gun pointed at me is a pretty average day. But if I recall, I'm not alone, although his player is not here currently, but the two of us are currently drinking at the bar. If I remember...
I actually believe you came here...
Baby. Slop that down,
dude.
Yeah, dude, crack one for the big boy.
Thank you very much.
Crack one for the big boys indeed. Thank you so much, Captain Rouge, whoever you are.
Mystery.
Are you giving
I'm sad that
Ellis
my
advantage?
No, I'm sad that my comment was too small for some reason on the way it displayed, but it
no.
said offering for the technical difficulty gremlins. So
Ah,
I have
Hopefully they are appeased.
yes, appease them to make sure those we're past those problems in the stream. Carry on.
Right.
no, I do believe that 201-915 was there, but we don't need to worry about that right at the moment. What I'm trying to remember is our primary goal in asking questions about her was to leverage her history with Tahamagahara against her current position in Zone Cola, I believe.
Yeah, the Zone Beverage is the name of the mega corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you found out like a little bit already,
Right.
but I think you were coming here to see if you could find any additional information.
Yeah, I think my point with that was that my question being that I don't think there was any particular reason for us to talk to her specifically. I think we were mostly looking for like, what's her history, what's she doing currently at Zone, to try and get an edge on her to try and push. Because we're just basically trying to get these two corporate entities to fight one another. I'm not trying to like physically fight Zone Beverage security forces myself.
That's wise.
That seemed to be the implication I got as well. Of like, yeah, you're trying to get these two to push back against each other. You're not trying to actually fight a corpo. Okay. So, yeah, I think the reaction would be, I'm just asking questions about someone I had some information on. I don't know why we're being so aggressive. You got reason to believe someone's coming for a bounty or something?
I just don't know who you are, stranger, or...
I don't know much about you either, hence why I'm asking this fine gentleman over here about what have I heard been true. You seem a little tight, a little tense. Want to maybe put the blaster down? I don't really know what we're getting into here.
I'll tell you something about me for free. I don't like to be fucked with. And it feels like you're fucking with me.
You got a real itchy trigger there, huh? Just feel like someone's fucking with you? I gotta be honest. If someone was fucking with you, I think they'd be a little more aggressive about it than asking questions about you at an old haunt of yours. That sounds like somebody trying to meet you, maybe. Or, I don't know, doing basic level private eye shit. Fucking with you. Nah, man, that sounds more dangerous or, aggressive.
I didn't get where I have in life by trusting that some stranger asking questions about me had good intentions.
Oh, you don't have to believe they're good intentions. I just mean, I feel like you're coming out the gate a little hot for somebody who works for a major interplanetary corporation. I mean, I don't know if Zone Beverage particularly, hired you to be shooting folks in bars on your day off. That seems like it'd be getting a little bit of notoriety for someone that probably wants to keep their head down in a multi-level corporate function. Isn't that kind of the idea of corporate security? Is chill, relaxed, under the table, behind the door. Here you are pulling a gun out in the middle of a rather crowded bar. I don't know. That seems to be... You're making him nervous. Look at him. He's about to pee his pants. Calm down.
Yeah, that's not exactly my style. But you already seem to know a fair amount about me, so why don't you tell me who you are? Let's start with that.
Nah, that's all right. You don't really have any authority beyond the gun in your hand, which is, might I add, fine. But you're not a cop, and I don't work for you, and I don't really care what you think about any of this. But I will say this. I think it's probably time I get going. And I might find another place to drink, because I'm going to bet they don't much appreciate you just pulling guns on paying customers.
Are you gonna try to walk by her or move, or are you just
No,
saying
I'm letting
that
her
it
respond to
stands
that. What she thinks is the
Okay.
appropriate response to that.
I think she looks around and there she does you see like a little bit of her expression shifting. You see a little bit of her realizing that all of these eyes are on her, that she maybe put herself in a situation where like now you're calling her bluff and she's not 100% comfortable shooting you. So, you can do with that information what you will. She's not lowering the gun or anything like that yet.
In that case, let's roll some dice. Because intimidation's a thing that Ellis does.
That is very true. You are good at that. Are you going to use your hound move?
Yeah, we're just gonna give her the old steely glare.
Steely glare. Grr.
I got that right? No, it's dash roll. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, look at that.
That's a 9. All right.
That's
On a
a
9, she gets to choose one. And she's kind of already doing one, but her choices are shut up immediately, stop moving, lower her weapon, do something stupid or reckless, or hesitate, stumble, or mutter.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Choose 2. She is going to... She's going to hesitate. She's going to lower her weapon. She is going to do that. So the gun, she's going to like... Her arm that's pointed at you is going to sort of like come down slowly to her side. She's not going to put it away, but she will say, you know what? You're right. No reason to bother any of these nice folks in here. She looks a little bit uncomfortable, but she also looks like she feels backed into a corner. You get that impression. And she says, so tell you what, why don't we continue this conversation outside where there's less bystanders?
So you're like opening a admit to the room that you want to shoot me outside? Man, you know.
That all depends on you.
Whew, San Tokyo has gotten far more violent in the past few years. I didn't realize that Zone Cola employees were just out here just, you know, Western style gunning down folks in the street. You know, as a major member of the security department of a major international and interplanetary beverage organization, you seem mighty hostile. So, everybody, you know, I'll see y'all in a couple minutes. So long as this upstanding member and civilian of a large-scale corporation doesn't shoot me to death outside for asking if she drinks here regularly. So, you know, think about that. Or you go taking a sip on a Diet Zone Light or whatever the hell. I don't know what y'all fucking sell anymore. Anyway, sure, let's go outside. What was her full name again?
Kaori Izumi.
Yeah, I'm going to sneak that in as many times in that speech as possible. But yeah, Kaori Izumi, okay. Major security member of Zone Beverage, is going to shoot me in the straight today, apparently. I don't know. That seems a little excessive. What do you think, sir? Yeah, I agree. Don't you? That's a fine-looking drink. Anyway, outside we go. After you, Kaori Izumi.
You hold the door open. She steps outside,
100%.
and she as she does so, she is going to put the gun in the holster. She's gonna tuck it back under her arm. She's still sort of got the jacket slung over her shoulder, though. So she's just sort of in this like white button-down shirt.
What happened? I thought you were shooting me down in the street. I thought that was the plan, Rat. Came outside.
Well, I never said I was going to shoot you.
Oh, you sure gave intention. You don't pull a gun on somebody unless you mean on using it. That's firearm rule number 1.
I've often found that it encourages people to tell me what I want to know.
You have to rely on firearms in order to intimidate folks for information. That's one way of doing it. Sure. I find it tends to make people a little titchy, but yep, that is a direct way of doing it. Turns out also in public it is actually illegal. I don't know if you've heard about that, but that is one of the downsides to it as well. It is assault with a deadly weapon. Those laws do still apply, even though I know you work for a very wealthy company. But yeah,
Perks
you
of
know,
the job.
Perks of the job, assaulting random civilry. You know, I do love Earth. Isn't it the best? Anyway, you know, there's some folks, you pull a gun on them, they take that personal. Just saying. Some folks might see that as reason to pull on you. I don't know. You ever shot someone to death in the street, Cowrie?
What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know, because you're walking into bars pulling a gun at the first drop of your name. And that's not how most hitters I know work. Seems like you're a little anxious. A little, may I say, afraid. I don't know why. I'm not quite sure if you got someone with a, bullet with your name on it already, but I sure don't. However, it does seem like you're awful ready to shoot a stranger you never met, because he has a bartender you barely know if you come into a bar on a regular basis. I hadn't asked about your social security number, or your mother's maiden name, or, some other skeleton in your closet. But you ready to pull iron on a bare whisper of somebody asking questions. Hell, you could have shot a reporter in there. How's that play for you?
You talk a lot.
I do. You don't talk much.
Not as a rule.
Smart. So what do you want to do, coward? If you don't want to shoot me in the street.
If you answer my questions, we can walk away.
And if I don't answer your questions,
I can make your life very, very difficult without shooting you in the street.
You say that to a man whose life is already more complicated than you might know. So, I also wouldn't be the first time I've been shot at in the street. Do I look like someone who's let's put it this way, intimidated by a gunfight? Honest question, coward.
You don't. You look like someone who knows his way around a gunfight, which
no, I'm gonna correct you there. I'm a man who wins gunfights. I didn't come here planning on shooting you to death in the street, but frankly, to answer a question you haven't asked, if that's how this goes, don't put me out none. So I'm gonna leave because I don't really care what your questions are, but I would really think very hard before you put a hand on that gun again.
She doesn't make a move for her gun, but she also doesn't reply. Are you leaving?
No, I'm waiting for her to leave, actually. I'm going to stare her down.
Okay. You won your Steely Gaze roll, so I'm going to say that absolutely, yeah, she's going to walk away first. After a few seconds of this, stare down, she's going to sort of, she's going to turn her head to the side and just sort of, going to start to walk away. She's going to actually just walk right back into the bar that you came out of.
Yeah, that's fine.
And as she does so, she's just going to say, she turns around as she goes through the doors to talk to you. She walks backwards through the doors and she says, I will find out who you are.
Are you sure you want to do that, coward?
I think I do.
Well, we all make mistakes, don't we?
And then with one last look at you, one last moment of eye contact that she breaks because of your incredibly powerful steely gaze.
My powerful eye.
Yeah, she steps into the bar and closes the door behind her.
Oh yeah, she's gonna work out great. She's on the edge. She's a firecracker ready to go off. That's a powder keg of a woman ready to go. All right, all we got to do is get her in the right place at the right time. She's gonna shoot 6-8 people dead. It's gonna be great.
I mean, you never know. And I think what we can say about 2019, your comrade's presence here is that he is going to stay in the bar. He didn't come out because now he has the opportunity to observe Cowrie and what she does in the bar after you leave.
Yeah, that would make sense. Is to like kind of separate out.
Yeah.
Also, someone has to pay my tab because I'm not going back in there. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I will head home.
Something tells me that they're not particularly worried about that.
No, she did walk in there and pull a gun immediately. So.
Yeah, she did. But I mean, you never know. Maybe she does that every time she goes to that bar.
That's fair. Yeah, I was just getting started asking questions. They hadn't answered whether she regularly shoots people in the bathroom there. It's possible.
They did not. But yeah, so you are able to head back to the Scrappers Union campus, where Maeve currently is. Maeve, you and Jaxper made your way back there after your meeting with Simon Riggs, the one-armed prisoner in the work camp just outside of San Antonio. You did manage to get an interview with him posing as school journalists, but you weren't really able to get to the meat of your questioning about the Puritans because of the guard in the room. So exactly. TTRPG cowboys always practice proper firearms etiquette.
That's right.
Yep. Only safe gun use on this stream.
Only point a laser pistol at something you aim to fry.
Exactly. Man, can you imagine if Ellis had a laser pistol? Jesus.
Sweet God, don't ever give him one.
And Maeve, so yeah, you have theoretically a way to contact Simon Riggs. Jaxper reactivated his comm unit, and you have access to that line of communication. And Jaxper left to chase down another lead in the hopes that he'd be able to find more information. So you are currently alone in the apartment suite. What would you like to do? I know you were working on a personal project, but I think that's back on the ship, right?
That sounds
Yeah, you're trying to add an
correct.
auto dock.
Right, because I am pretty sure something is wrong with me, and I would like to
I mean,
have my own medical equipment because I don't trust anybody. Because I'm
I think you're
paranoid
fine.
now.
I think your new hooks are fine, and they don't indicate that anything is wrong with Maeve at all.
No, of course, Maeve is incredibly grounded and handling everything that has been happening so well. Just completely adapting to her constantly changing situation.
Your only real side effect that you've experienced is a little light land drowning.
Just a light.
Like just a tiny bit of land drowning, that's all.
You know.
Yeah. So what would you like to do?
Okay, and the reason we're trying to talk to Riggs is that he was a lead we were given that he is a former Puritan, correct?
Yeah.
Marcus Pike gave you this information for free out of gratitude for Ellis voluntarily taking on the zone contract. And he basically told you, because he knew you were looking for information on the Church of the First Nail, that there was a prisoner at the work camp who had arrived recently. He was kept in maximum security, and he only had one arm. And a bit of the information that you had received recently about the Church of the First Nail is that members have to essentially take a nail in a part of their body, most commonly an arm, and they have to then allow the wound to fester until it has to be amputated, essentially. So it is not to say that everybody in the galaxy with one arm is a Puritan, but when there is somebody with one arm, it's a possible lead.
Sweet.
That coupled with the maximum security thing.
Maeve has never questioned an unwilling lead before. So while I am tempted to say that she would hesitate and wait for someone else, current Maeve is loose cannon. So I think she's just gonna go for it. Why wait? She needs to know what's happening with Grace
Absolutely.
now. So
now you know that the way the work camp works is because you saw this firsthand, all of the prisoners have these sort of batteries that are strapped to them with like cuffs that cover their arms and their legs at various intervals, and they just do physical labor, and that generates a certain amount of power, which is stored in the pack and then is harvested and used. You don't really know what it's used for. They don't need the energy, but that is the point of the work camp, is that you harness the energy generated by this meaningless physical labor so that you can use it elsewhere. And so you know that basically daylight hours, when it is hot, that is when they tend to have them do most of the labor. I'm going to say that it is now evening because it was evening when Ellis went to the bar. So we'll just sort of match these timelines up. And you would be pretty confident that Riggs would be back in his cell by this point, and he would have finished up his labor for the day.
Sweet.
So you are gonna you're gonna call, essentially?
Yes. Just like send an opening message of nice to speak to you again, Briggs.
So I think you will have to actually call, like a phone call, which is a very weird thing to have to do. Because it's his ear unit. It's an implanted comm unit.
Okay. Not like a badge thing, like.
Not like a badge thing, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
then I'm gonna try and
terrifying to have to talk to somebody on the phone.
Do not like. All right, I'll try and initiate a call and see if he responds.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the future, pretty much everything is like a video call. Like you have these handheld devices, but I mean, they sort of automatically default to showing an image of you. At the most basic level of the technology, it's pretty much the exact same thing as using like Skype or like Google Hangout or whatever. But with this, you're essentially doing the same thing, but obviously he doesn't have a camera on his end. And you know, the feature is not active for you because he doesn't have any way to view it anyway. So it's just a question of like inputs and outputs. It defaults to voice only. You do hear it, like it doesn't ring, but it does beep a couple of times, just like a beep, beep, beep. And then you hear his voice very quietly say, who are you people?
We're people who are interested in who you were before you joined the work camp.
Starting to think you are not a real journalism student, if I'm being honest.
If I'm being honest, you would be correct in your suspicions.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a feeling about that. So, your friend reactivated my unit. without touching it. In a room with a guard, watching everything.
He's pretty talented with technology, what can I say?
And I'm sure that has nothing to do with you asking questions about the church.
So, what can you tell me about the church? Since you clearly know that's what we're interested in.
Say I know anything. Say I know something. What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to try and get back a person that they took from us.
You have any idea how dangerous they are?
We've had a few instances of being able to get a general idea, yeah.
I got a lot of things that weigh heavy on my conscience, girl. I don't need to be responsible for sending 2 teenagers to their death.
Well, you don't have to worry about that because we're going to do this with or without the information we get from you. If anything, you'd be giving us a chance to actually make it out of this alive.
I can tell you some things. But I still believe in the mission. Don't get it twisted. I have no interest in helping you undo the hard work of myself and so many others. But obviously, this is important to you. And my hope is that if I tell you a little, you'll realize how goddamn in over your head you are and you'll give up.
Well, hope is a good thing to have, I suppose, even for someone stuck in a labor camp.
So, what do you want to know?
I want to know how to track them down. How to recognize the signs of where they are, where they've been, and how to get back someone that they would have taken from us, where they would keep someone like that.
If they took someone, there's a reason. They want something from them. And if they've gotten it, then that person's not alive anymore. So, how strong's your friend?
Strongest person I know.
Even if I knew where they would have taken them, I don't know who it is.
Exactly.
Even if I
You
knew
know,
they
that
were
person I
taking-
don't know. Her,
I
whoever she
wouldn't.
is.
I wouldn't tell you. Mission comes first.
And what if I told you that they already got what they wanted?
And your friend's dead. And you can move on with your life.
I can't do that. Not until I know for sure. Not until I find either her or her body.
Interesting. Okay. I think I want you to roll something.
Okay.
I don't imagine you have like an intellect move for social stuff, influencing conversations and things like that.
As if intellects are good at social things.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think you could try to manipulate. I think you would
Okay.
try to appeal to Riggs' better nature. Seems to have like a little bit of a soft spot, despite the fact that he keeps insisting he still believes in the mission. So go ahead and roll volatile, or I'm sorry, slick.
So that is going to be
Um,
a +1. So that makes it a 7.
Okay, that's enough. I was gonna say
Just
you did
barely.
donate earlier if you want to give yourself advantage, but
Nope. I will take my 7
um,
and
okay.
make do with
With
my
a
bare
7,
success. He feels a little bit bad about us youngins getting caught up in this nonsense, but not bad enough to be like
yeah,
giving us the keys to the castle.
right, exactly. And he's going to actually want something from you, in return.
I assumed
Um,
that would be what would happen.
yeah, yes, exactly. Um, Now he could either make you a counter offer to be settled now before you do what before he does what you want him to do. Or he could ask you to promise something and provide concrete assurance that you'll follow through. Do you have any thoughts about what a man like Simon Riggs might want from Maeve?
I assume the answer is a jailbreak.
Do you suggest that
Because
to him? Do you want to suggest that to him?
no, what she's going to say is, look, obviously we've been able to get hold of you, something that it sounds like no one else has in a very long time. If you give us the information we need to find our friend, I'm willing to pass along a message from you to the first Puritan we come across and let them decide if they want to try and let you help them in the mission, whatever that may be.
Puritan's a cute word. Covers all manner of sins, doesn't it?
Well, it seems like your group has a lot of sins to cover, so it seems a
You're
pretty
right.
generous offer from where I'm standing. You already know we're going to go looking for them. I'm not even asking what information you'll try to pass along. I'm not trying to blow up whatever it is you're doing. I just want my captain back.
Your captain. I can respect that. Must be a hell of a woman to inspire that level of devotion. That you chase down the church itself.
Look, are you going to take the deal or not?
I'll take the deal. Under one condition. I want you to get my daughter out.
Of where?
The church. She's young. She's still headstrong. She still thinks the ends justify the means, but I don't want her to end up like me. A murderer.
So I guess even you have your limits on what you'll do for the mission, huh?
There's no mistaking what tech has done to us. The evils that it's caused, all you have to do is look around. I believe it should be stopped. I just got tired of all the killing.
And if your daughter doesn't want to come?
Well, you convinced me to tell you this much. You seem the persuasive sort.
I'll do the best I can to convince her to leave, but I'm not about to start kidnapping and imprisoning a random person if that's what it's going to take to get her out of the group that you both are still on the same side of.
What are you willing to do, girl? Because that's an innocent line compared to what the church will do to you if they find you or your friend. Do you understand? They'll torture you. They'll take you apart. And they won't lose a moment of sleep.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm not willing to do, and that's leave grace to people like that for those to be her final moments.
What did you say?
I said I'm not going to let her get tortured instead of me. If that's what I'm walking into, they've already got her.
No, girl, her name. What did you say? Your friend, your captain's name.
Grace?
Forget about her. Forget about all of it. Forget about our deal.
No, you can't do that.
Walk away.
No, I'm not. No, you have to tell me.
I'm doing you a favor. And then it disconnects.
Guess we're gonna have to do a jailbreak after all.
I don't know.
Less
Could be. I
jailbreak
think at
and more
that
stealing the
moment-
prisoner.
Yeah. How do you like, do you throw your handheld? I mean, like, how frustrated are you about that?
Oh, absolutely. Just like spike it into the
Yeah.
floor, and like sort of scream at it.
You got the Nokia brand, so it's pretty tough.
Damn
It doesn't
it.
break or anything, so you're fine. But as you walk into the apartment, Ellis, you hear the smash of something being thrown against the floor or the wall, and you hear Maeve curse loudly.
What's going on? Bad news.
It was this close to that fucker telling me what I needed to know.
Which fucker
And
is this?
the guy that Jaxper and I went to see at the prison, at the
Oh.
labor camp.
Yeah, the Puritan asshole.
He's
what?
he heard Grace's name and he just stopped everything.
Probably not a great idea to be telling people Grace's name, I guess, but stopped everything as in, like, he had reason to, or...
He said I needed to stop looking for her and he ended the call.
So he knows more than he's saying.
I mean, he didn't end up telling me anything before this happened, so he knows a lot more than what he's saying, but...
Yeah, sounds like we need to have another chat with him. Perhaps in a more hospitable location. Well, prison break's tough. Not easy. You've been there. Any ideas on getting him out? Is he soon to be paroled or anything? Or
Somehow I doubt it. Seems like he'd be a lifer to me.
Safe to say.
Fair enough.
You don't know exactly what his crimes are, but you're pretty confident that he is a Puritan at this point. So
right.
They're bad.
You don't say.
I do.
All right.
People.
Yeah, I guess getting him out is our best bet, but man, this is the kind of thing that I would want. In no offense to Maeve, I would want Jax's more technical opinion on, like, can we break into this prison and get him out, or is this just going to be us killing a whole bunch of prisoner guards?
I mean, it's an option. I mean, I feel like you know Jaxper well enough to expect that, like,
its answer is just going to be yes anyway.
He might, right? Like,
yeah, he's just going to say, like, yeah, we could do it. Hell yeah, let's go. Fucking no.
I mean, so in terms of talking about a jailbreak, obviously it's not going to be an easy thing. It's not even really, it's never happened at this particular work camp, but work camps also aren't a super old institution. It's a relatively recent model within the last, like, I would say 50 years or so. Right. But I mean, it is outdoor labor. Like, they are literally spending days out in the yard, sweating fluids that are also collected by their imprisonment devices. You know, the more sweat, the better. The more labor, the more sweat, the more power is generated. So
okay, so
there's that at least. But
it's not totally unfeasible to at least get a hold of him again. or like have another conversation, I guess. I'm just trying to think, like, this is now an avenue that we have to pursue. Like, there's no way to not, from our perspective, really. So,
I mean, that's fair. He was also, I will point out, just, for your sake, that he was pretty reticent to, like, he pretty flat out told you at the beginning of the conversation that there were some things he would tell you and there were some things he would not. Which, doesn't preclude other methods of extracting information.
right.
But he's clearly a hardened man. You'd wager that even if you got him in a room and tried to torture him, probably not the first person to try that.
Right. He is capable of holding up to such things.
But
Probably.
more important
Almost
than anything
certainly.
else, he has a daughter. And the
He
chance
does.
to see her again maybe would be enough if we had him with us to track down the Puritans so he could see her again.
That's very possible.
Okay. But that means finding the Puritans first.
Not unless we basically take him and then he's with us when we go searching for them.
Right.
He probably would only give us the bare minimum of information we would need at any given point to find, but
yeah.
if it means that he's leading us to wherever he can find his daughter.
Okay. That still starts with getting him out of prison, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. We need to get our hands on him in order for that plan to work.
That sounds very difficult.
Especially down 2 members of your crew.
Yes. Yeah, not a thing to do when we can't use the 2 people that are actually capable of getting those kind of things done.
The tech warrior and the infiltrator. The people who would probably be ideal for such as a
prison break. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, given Ellis can't shoot to death every member of the prison. I've
had a good track record with hitting people with my giant wrench, so like who's to say I can't take on a whole prison labor camp with like my wrench of doom. Like that sounds like a totally reasonable plan.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no way this could go wrong.
I've used it once and it worked once.
That's 100% success rate right there.
Exactly.
That is.
It's perfect.
That's 100% success rate.
That's what that counts as. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So we'll put that to one side as the next plan as far as that goes, I would say. Like, we definitely need to talk to him again. So when you said he killed the connection, Will, does that mean that, like, the connection is broken forever, or...
I assume we're going to have to try and call him back to see if that's true.
You can try to call him back, absolutely, but he's not going to pick up. So he didn't turn his comm unit off. You're actually not even sure if he can do that himself. Because presumably there was probably some sort of like surgery or something like that the prison had to do in order to deactivate it the first time. But he doesn't answer, no matter how many times you call.
Okay. So it's active, he's just ignoring us for now.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I want to say, like, trying to get someone to push through on that connection first is a better plan. Because we don't even know where to find his daughter yet to try and begin contacting her. So we have to get him out or get information from him to find her. And I don't think we're going to put anybody back in the prison. So we need to force that contact somehow, given it's the only lead we now have on the Puritans, is an actual former/current Puritan that we need more information out of. Okay,
safe to say former, I think.
Yeah, general Puritan slash no, not Puritan. General prison information check of this is still a like governmental institution or like government operated institution.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is a private prison.
Okay. So who would we need to get in contact to begin talking to about access to the prison, I guess? Like, is
it depends
that
on what.
something you
Yeah.
can do?
So it's sort of it's its own company essentially, and
Right.
they sell off the water and the energy generated by the prisoners.
Right.
So that's how they make their profit. But it like, are you thinking about going the route of trying to infiltrate it as like staff members or?
No, I was thinking about trying to go the route of like, especially if it's a for-profit prison, anything is available for some amount of currency, right? Like there will be the
That's
ability
true.
to purchase access to the prisoners because there's no way that they're not going to like see that as a viable means of access, right? Like, and that might not be on an
That's true.
advertisement sheet. You know, it might not be like, oh, give us $200,000 and we'll let you talk to whoever you want. But potentially Ellis has some experience with
almost
that,
certainly not.
of knowing how much you usually charge for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. If you want to like go to the like underground or like black market of San Antonio and just start asking, does anybody know
Yep.
how to get in a room with a prisoner?
Yeah, that's
you can
100%
absolutely do
Ellis's
that.
first thought. Is he's like, yeah, there's ways to do this. There's ways to do this without your standard surreptitiousness. That, not that we have a ton of bankroll behind us, but maybe we can get some money and then figure that out as a way to just have another conversation, not get him out, but lean on him in a different way, or offer basically what Maeve was saying that she's going to offer, right? Which is, hey, help us find your daughter if you want her out.
Well, yeah. If you can communicate that to him, that's totally valid. In terms of greasing the wheels to get into the prison, Marcus did say he would pay you for the zone job.
That's true.
So
well, and Marcus might actually be a person who would know folks within the prison as well. Possibly.
Yeah, very true. He is a boss of crime.
It's true. He would potentially have access to that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the best avenue to try at this point.
Cool. Talking to Pike, essentially.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, hey, here's what we're progressing on right now, and give him like an update, and then also try and see if he knows anything about that.
Okay. Are you like firing off a message or
yeah, I'm just gonna try and give it to him as a message because this is all happening like after I just got back from the bar, right? So I'm going to because for one thing, I know that he put this down to like, we want you to take care of this, but I don't know, man. He's got experience, and I know what he's trying to get done. So I'm going to tell him about, hey, I found a highly erratic zone beverage employee who seems ready to shoot nearly anyone. So I think you should maybe keep an eye on her, or here's an idea. Here's what I was going to do with it, if you think that's a good call. I think I'm just going to try and get her in a room with some pushy Takahamakara folks and see if she kills somebody. And then as a side end, be like, also, we want to try and talk to this guy. Do you think there's any way you could get us into this prison to chat with this guy? I think he's another end on this thing.
Okay, cool. He will shoot you back another message shortly thereafter, and he will say, happy to talk. Details. Why don't you come by my place?
Oh man, his place sucks so bad. Yeah, all right. Does he want like that right now, or is he thinking
Yeah,
the
that well,
next
I
day?
mean, yeah, he basically says he basically says you can stop by.
Okay.
Like now.
Right. Okay, sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm down. If Maeve wants to come, sure.
Of course Maeve wants to come. She's impatient.
Cool.
Wants to see us get results.
True.
Who doesn't want to see us get the results? We're all eager for results at this point.
I want to see you get results. Okay, cool. So he gives you an address. You recognize the address. It is not where Marcus lived when you were here, when you were in San Antonio last. He probably had like an apartment or something back then, in the like worst side of town. But now the address that he gives you is actually St. Jude's.
Wow,
Which
why would I know
don't
that
remember
game?
exactly. So you would know that name. I don't remember exactly if Ellis is an orphan or just like didn't have a great home life.
It was like not a great home life, and left very early. That was our establishment. Was that like,
Yeah,
one of those folks who like emancipated himself at like 16, like that kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
That like basically as soon as he was able
Yeah, absolutely.
to get out, he was gone.
So St. Jude's is an orphanage. It's an orphanage that you would be very familiar with because the gang that you were a part of, that still persists to this day and that Marcus now runs, is the St. Jude Boys. It started off as a collection of boys who lived at the orphanage,
Right.
and then like adjacent people who were brought in. Yeah, Marcus tells you to come by his place and he gives you the address of the orphanage.
That's strange. And I think Ellis would even like say that to Maeve and be like, "Well, that's strange."
What's strange?
Marcus is apparently living at an orphanage. Given he did refer to this as his place, I mean, I lived there for a little while, but when I was young and broke, okay. Again, I mean, obviously he's not sleeping there, I would hope, but very weird. This ain't the nicest place, by the way, Maeve. I just want you to kind of be anticipating what you're walking into. At least it wasn't last time I saw it. But all right, I guess let's go meet a man in an orphanage.
Labor camp today. It can't be any worse than the other places I've been to recently.
I think I'm going with that. It ain't enough better. Does that sound fair?
All right. Well, if that's where we have to meet him, then that's what we're gonna do. So
yeah. Oh no, I don't like. I mean, obviously we're not staying there. I'm just, I guess, memories, but also confusion over what this man's doing out there. All right, saddle up, I guess. Yep. All right.
Cool. Yeah, you catch a ride across town from the west side to the east side, leaving the campus behind, and you pull up outside of St. Jude's. Maeve, contrary to Ellis's heads up, this is a nice place. At least it looks like it. It's a well-tended building in a neighborhood. You've been to this section of town a couple times now. It's where you went to the Easy Wash.
That does make sense that that's Marcus's kind of area.
Yeah. But compared to the other buildings that you've passed, This one is very well taken care of. It's clearly been maintained. It's clearly had been like cleaned regularly. Um, and yeah, you can see like lights on inside through many of the windows. As you get out of your you know, self-driving Uber, it the front door opens. A couple like boys, with like dirt all over their faces, come like rushing out the stairs, yelling at each other and joking around. And a woman's voice calls out after them, basically saying like, be back before 10. Don't forget, calling after them. And the boys, like they pause for like a split second just to say back, we will, and then tear off down the street to do who knows what. But yeah, in the doorway there stands a woman. She is probably of an age with Marcus. He is I think we said he's about like 5-10 years younger than Ellis, something like that.
Some mid-30s or late 30s.
Yeah. And she appears to be of the same age. She's very pretty, but she is not wearing makeup or anything like that. She looks a little disheveled. She's wearing a kitchen apron that has some food stains all over it. Her hair's a little messy. You might recognize her, Ellis, because Marcus was sort of infatuated with her around the time that you knew each other. Her name is Eleanor.
Okay, so someone Marcus was not with, but infatuated with, you said?
Yeah, he wanted to be with her, but it was very much like a I'm not worthy of her situation. He always talked about how eventually he was going to make enough money to go straight and, marry her, make an honest woman of her. And you obviously left Earth before you saw that ever come to fruition. But
what a softie.
She sees you from the doorway.
No, Marcus is the worst. Don't worry about
it. No, Marcus is such a romantic.
No, he's pretty awful.
He's pretty bad.
He's pretty terrible. He so Eleanor like spots you from the doorway and she smiles at you. She gives you a very warm smile. She says, "Ellis, Marcus said you were on your way over. Do you want to come in?"
Eleanor, what are you still doing in this part of town? Or on this planet, to be honest? We all kind of figured as soon as you got 3 nickels together, you'd be, I don't know, anywhere else.
Yes, you've been going a long time. I suppose I did talk about that a fair amount back in those days, but
I mean, we all did.
Change.
Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, that's fair. Times change, lives change. All right. Yeah, I'm here for Marcus.
No, of course. Yeah, come on in.
All right.
I hope you're hungry.
Sure.
The both of you. I'm sorry, dear. I didn't get your name.
Hi, I'm Maeve. Nice to meet you.
Well, welcome. Any friend of Ellis's is a friend of mine. Ours, I should say. I suppose.
Oh yeah, Maeve, Eleanor, Maeve. Eleanor used to. Well, she was kind of better than most of us at things. So
she like throws her head back and laughs and says, "Don't go listening to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about."
Sure.
Why don't you come on in, have a seat? I'll get some food on the plates for you. We just finished up dinner, but there's still plenty of leftovers.
That's unusual. Sure.
As they start to head in, Maeve is absolutely. I was gonna say Maeve like leans over to Ellis and just goes, "Yeah, real rough looking place here, Ellis."
No, you don't understand. This is different in a big way. Like doesn't make any sense different. It's an orphanage, Maeve. Like, you know, barely any money, barely feeding kids, like that kind of place. I mean, I guess Marcus is just funding it himself, but this is wild. Like, you know, that thing she just said with the leftovers, I can't say that's been heard in St. Jude's too much when I was around. It was, we can barely feed 8 out of 10 of y'all. I mean, that's the
There
hell.
were like bars on the windows, you know.
Right. Yeah. Like that was, you know, half the reason why the kids were out doing, quote, God knows what is. Wasn't a whole lot of support there. It was a bed to sleep in.
Yeah. So you enter the house. You know, St. Jude's is a basically a big dormitory almost. Big house, lots of rooms, but very much you know, shared living spaces. You remember, Ellis, from experience that the upstairs is mostly like very long open rooms filled with like bunk beds. You know, because it very much was that shared living situation. And then
Right.
downstairs, you know, there's a small library, or there was, that didn't have any books, you know, when you lived here. There's the kitchen where, you know, there was almost never any cooking done. All of your food pretty much came from like cans
Right.
and things like that.
And whoever had 5
there
minutes
was
to
a
put something
chapel.
together. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But all of that very clearly has changed. It is a warm and inviting space inside. It's filled with cooking smells. You can see, you know, when you walk in to the left, there's immediately the library. It's full of, you know, books, like actual books, physical books. And that you can see some of the kids are in there reading or like whispering to one another. There are
Is there like the
more of
same
them
number
still
of
sort of like,
is there the same number of kids, or is it like more populated or less populated, or
more, you would say. I mean,
okay.
it's hard to say because St. Jude's never really had a fixed population. There were a lot
Sure.
of kids who were
Yeah.
like you, who had homes and just spent a lot of time there.
Right.
People are always coming and going, you know. But it's more crowded in one place than you remember seeing it at any point when you lived here.
Got it.
And then off to the right, directly across from that library, is like what was the dining room. There is a long table, which is actually the same table that was there when you lived here, just a very long, solid wood piece of furniture. There's still some people of varying ages sitting around it. There are a couple adults, a couple older kids, like late teenagers. One of them has like a very wary expression about this whole situation. You'd guess, like, you recognize that face. You've seen it plenty of times when you were younger, of somebody who's just skeptical of
Right.
any
Yeah.
like
Cynical
kindness
of
or
all
goodwill
everything
being
going
shown
on.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like too good to be true.
Right.
And seated at the head of that table, you recognize Marcus Pike, who stands up. He's got a napkin tucked into his shirt. And he stands up and pulls it out, sets it down on the table to greet you. He moves across the room to greet you. He puts his arms around Eleanor and gives her a kiss on the forehead. And
which gets an elbow or an eyebrow from Ellis for sure. Okay.
yeah. And he you know, he says, Eleanor, would you mind? I'm sure our guests are hungry. And she says, I was already on it. I was already doing it. And she kind of like playfully gives him a little shove back and then walks through this swinging door into the kitchen. And you can hear, as the door swings open, conversation from the other side, lots of adult voices. Sounds like there are a lot of people in there cooking or like cleaning up, maybe. And Marcus turns to you and says, all right. Welcome back, I suppose.
Marcus, what the hell is going on here? Like, this place is clean and stocked, and you're staying here?
Why, I own it.
Well,
we do live.
I mean,
here.
okay, sure, owning it's one thing, but what are you like putting together a crew of kids or something? Like what?
No kids. None of what we went through, the way that we grew up.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be how anybody has to live.
All right. I mean, I can't say I disagree, but Marcus, not to be indelicate in front of young ears, but ain't you the major domo of an illegal syndicate? Are you really like the captain of an orphanage? Is that good for the orphanage, or I don't know? It just sounds like it's dangerous. I'm happy to see food in the larder, but
well, the money's got to come from somewhere, Ellis.
I mean, yeah, but doesn't yours kind of come with conditions? I mean, hell, I'm dealing with that right now, and I'm a grown man. What happens if somebody decides to, take out something on you on them? Or doesn't this make you kind of a target? Or what do they know about you, about what you do, or where the money comes from?
I do my best to not piss anyone off that might do something drastic to a place like this. We're a gang, Ellis. We do terrible things all the time. But it's the only thing I know how to do, and my hope, I suppose, is that by creating something like this, making this a place where kids can have a warm meal and a clean bed and a place to stay. I suppose maybe it's fooling myself at the end of the day, but it's what I choose to do with what comes of the gang.
Well, I mean, I guess I ain't mad about that as a concept. It just sure is surprising. I think I'd say. I think is what I'd call it. Unexpected for sure. There's no doubt about that. You are a man of surprises, Marcus. Yeah, I like Alice is not taken aback, but so thoroughly confused by this concept that I don't know that he has much meaningful to say about it. Is that this is like straight up fair. Makes no sense to him.
Yeah, Marcus just kind of like spreads his arms and says, "I'm hardly a saint, as you well know, but
that's
what can I help you with tonight?"
Oh, yeah. So two things really. One is we talked about payment if I take care of your problem, and I think we might have an idea of some way we could do a little bit of that at the same time as taking care of your problem. There's a man who we could really use to talk to in he's in a prison. And Maeve can give you some details on that, but one, I think he knows something about where our captain is, and two, I think he might be useful in maybe stirring up some amount of corporate trouble. He's a Puritan, and you know how they can be unpredictable. Um, beyond that, if so, we're kind of looking for someone who's maybe got some Ians with insert prison name. I'm not sure the name of the facility. But like basically giving him the details of we want to speak to someone in this prison, and we think you might know how to do that, right?
So the prison is owned by it's not a mega corporation, but it is a
Sure.
corporation. It's actually probably a subsidiary of one of the mega corporations. You just haven't done the paper trail to know which one.
Yeah.
They're called Labor and Power, infuriatingly enough.
Fantastic.
And they own those forced they own those forced work camps all over all over the world, all over Earth. So this would be San Antonio Labor and Power, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. So to get into that.
So he says, well, I'm glad that lead paid off for you in some way.
But beyond that, to get more to kind of your point on something that maybe you need is well, I was doing some digging around to try and see if there's any sense in how to cause conflict between these two great powers that we are trying to inure against one another. And in digging into some of the security forces, I encountered a woman who I believe is about ready to fly off the handle at just about anyone. I think I said her name 3 times in a bar, and she pulled a gun on me like I was, trying to get money out of her. So I'm pretty sure if we put this lady in the same room as some, I don't know, maybe some hot-headed Taka fellas, I think somebody's getting shot. And I don't know that we're going to have to do too much to do it.
Well, open war on Takamagahara by a zone employee would be, I would imagine, more than enough to force them to take action.
That's what again, I've been trying to do a little spycraft, shoot a zone cola vending machine here, there, knock over a truck, but I feel like this might be a little more effective in the long haul.
You know anything about this person, this woman?
And yeah, I'll pass over everything so far that I've encountered about Kyrie. I think one of the reasons I'm coming to Marcus for this is that if he has any ideas of somewhere we can put her or encourage her to get to be a problem, he might be more familiar with, oh yeah, there's a regular Taka contingency here, or there's like a regular place where people, such and such. And then that might be the best way to, I guess, set her off. Because I'm not really sure who to point that pistol at yet, but she's clearly ready to go.
Well, that's fun work.
Yeah, honestly,
that's real fun work.
Kind of just fell into it. Like, she seems...
Ellis, don't make it sound easier than it was.
Well, Marcus don't care, Maeve. We're not getting paid on commission here. He needs me to do it. Also, I wouldn't presume to give the impression to the man that I'm a spy. I don't know. I don't think I need to lie to Marcus about that. He knows where my talents lie. Pissing people off is probably the biggest one.
Under any assumptions.
Yeah, see, he knew what he was doing when he gave me this. He did.
It is true. I've never met a more infuriating man in all my years.
Exactly.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, right. I think we all kind of know what we're doing here. Eleanor, right? Yeah, we kind of all get the impression. You remember the time at the pool with the butts? Yeah, you wouldn't forget that, would you? I probably still owe you money. Anyway,
Well, so what you're looking for is an opportunity to get this woman, this Azumi woman
Mhm.
into a situation where you shared your information, so he says it sounds like not only is she hot-headed, but she's got a bit of a bone to pick with Takamagahara brass.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was looking her up in the first place. I mean, my first concept here was I was just going to try and push her towards, conflict, but I don't know that I got to push. She seems ready to fight just about anybody. Drop of a hat. So if you, I kind of come to you with one, an update, and two, and a question of, you got any targets in mind? Like, is there a local high-end Taka fella that maybe if we put the two of them in a situation, it's going to go one way?
He thinks for a second. He like he snaps his finger and he says, "I wonder, Eleanor, when's that town hall meeting? The one about the zoning issue, the zoning commission."
That is a terrible name. Why did they do that?
Well, I imagine they thought it was funny in the moment, or not. Megacorps aren't known for their sense of humor.
That's very true. Zoning commission.
Probably more likely it was some pencil pusher. Didn't even think about it. But Eleanor says back as she puts plates of like chicken, mashed potatoes, peas in front of each of you. She says that'd be next week. And he says, that's right. Okay, I got a thought. I can maybe grease the wheels a little bit, talk to some folks I know in local government, get something added. See, here's the thing. Takamagahara Defense Force has to come to these meetings all the time.
Sure.
There's issues here or there. They run drills over San Antonio airspace. They use abandoned buildings to train some of their soldiers for close quarters combat, things like that. So they got to come to these meetings all the time. Now, I don't think there was anything on the docket for the particular zoning meeting that would bring any defense brass down here for that.
Right.
Maybe I can grease the wheels, talk to some folks I know, and get something added to the agenda that would require Taka military to be present.
Oh, that's a good idea. I mean, if she'll pull a gun in a bar, she'll definitely pull a gun in a zoning commission meeting. I've done that before like 4 or 5 times.
I mean, whomst among us hasn't, really?
It's fair. I mean, really, like, local government, am I right? Anyway. Like, looks to Maeve for Maeve's, like, acquiesces in love. Right? I mean, yeah, of course.
Now, I mean, I can put all of those factors into the room together, but my influence ends there. If she does it by herself, great. If not,
right, sure.
You think you can make it happen?
You think I can get someone pissed off enough to shoot at me and/or others? Yes, Marcus. Yes, I believe I am capable of this. Yes.
All right. Well, there's a bit of time. That particular zoning meeting ain't until next week. Maybe we can get that stepped up, though. I don't want that to be I don't want them to be too far along.
Yeah, also, I mean, apparently she's going to be looking into me. You know what she's going to find, though, so I ain't too worried about it.
Certainly do. If she made a scene, I don't want to give Zone the opportunity to. I don't want Zone to get the opportunity to replace her potentially if they decide.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I did kind of call her out for pulling a gun on me in the bar, but that was mostly because it just felt so uncouth. You know, I mean, really. Shoot someone in the alley behind the bar, like a decent, come on.
How's Maeve feel about that statement?
None of that sounded, that's the sort of thing she would probably have heard Ellis say before and always assumed he was joking. And now she's like
Yeah.
suddenly
Oh.
realizing that he's been saying stuff like that the whole time she's known him.
Yep.
And she's not thinking he was joking anymore. All these years.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
She's also
May
just
says,
very in
I'll-
favor
I'll-
of
I'll
the
talk to-
move it up plan because she
Yeah.
does not want to be here for a week.
No.
Well, who knows what is happening to Grace.
For sure.
Right. It's a good plan too, because
For sure, for
frankly, if this woman's this mad now, we kind of want to jump on that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to folks I know. I'll see what I can get done as quickly as possible. Get to work right on that first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll let you know as soon as I'm able to.
All right. That sounds good. We'll, I guess, continue taking a look around. I mean, it's better to have some secondary contingencies, see if there's anybody else out there that maybe's got beef enough to start shooting people in the open in a bar.
Now, as far as your other problem's concerned, I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are folks at every labor and power that that you can bribe.
Sure.
Let you do pretty much about anything.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
Wouldn't be a hard stretch to imagine somebody wanting to get a little one-on-one alone time with a convicted Puritan. God knows they've pissed enough folks off.
Yeah, that's kind of their MO, it seems, is pissing folks off.
I'll be honest, I never heard of one being captured alive before. I mean, they're zealots in every sense of the word. They will kill themselves before they go to prison.
I mean, that's been our experience.
I wasn't even convinced that this man was one. I had just heard about a one-armed, high-security prisoner.
Yeah, it's well, I don't know. Maybe you spoke to him. I mean, what's the call? I guess just from the perspective of, do you think we can get it out of him or convince him to go in on a deal if we get back in there to talk to him?
I really don't think we're going to be able to do much without dangling a pretty big carrot in front of his face.
Fair.
I thought I'd found one, and apparently it wasn't enough for what I needed out of him.
Yeah, we have plans to try and help him reunite or rescue or something his daughter. I'm a little unclear on how we're rescuing her from an organization that he was a part of, but that seems to be the concept at the moment.
I see.
I mean,
you sure you look? It ain't no business of mine, but like this path that you're starting down with all this. I mean, you know, it only ends one way, almost certainly. You're going after the craziest motherfuckers in the solar system.
Oh, well, I mean, they started it, Marcus. It's not like we chose them out of a hat. Like,
he just starts laughing against his like better judgment, clearly, and he says, "Gosh, the more things change, I suppose."
yeah, I mean, you steal a man's captain, you almost kill him, and do some of the other shit they've tried. I mean, fight's been picked, so down in the barrel we go.
You never could walk away from a fight, Ellis.
Yeah. When they made me, they didn't put in the quit or the think twice or the talk through your problems, I guess. So,
this is your business.
Yeah. At that, like, is it just it's the three of us plus Eleanor and still some, like, kids at this dining room table, right?
Yeah, Eleanor has been, like, coming and going.
I was going to say, he sent her to go do something, right?
Well, to get you food, and then she did, and then he asked her the date. So she's, like, coming in and out. She's currently, I think, wrangling the kids who were still left at the dinner table, convincing them that it's time to go, like,
right.
Start the younger kids, it's time for them to start brushing their teeth. The older kids have like chores to do, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's when I'm going to pivot the conversation to like, so Eleanor, how long's that been going on? Congratulations, I think. I mean, damn, Marcus.
We've been married for 5 years.
Married?
April.
You've been married since April?
Yeah.
Why was the first thing you did when you came back into my life threaten me with a gun? Why didn't you tell me that you accomplished something you've been dreaming of since you were, what, 11?
Honestly, Ellis, wasn't sure. I wasn't sure which Ellis Maldonado I'd be dealing with when you showed up. When I heard you were back in town. Take that. And you remember what happened when you left.
Well, I mean, it wasn't anything personal, Marcus. You know, I had to go. It was about time I got off world, and choices had to be made to make that happen.
Obviously, I benefited from that. But you've always been good at understanding the bottom line, and honestly, I've having you back in town scared the shit out of me, Ellis. To be quite honest, everything that I have
seems like probably an appropriate reaction. I have been a problem in the past.
I didn't know if you were back here to take the throne or come for
oh, sweet Jesus, no.
Just passing through.
Yeah, no. None of that. Thank you very much. No throne taken from me.
I picked up on that.
Yeah, no, you can keep that all you want, my friend. That is absolutely not.
I do regret the nature of our arrangement. I do regret that I led with such a forceful hand, shall we say.
Well, you know, Marcus, I appreciate you saying so, because I've been thinking about it, and I am honestly surprised myself that I didn't shoot somebody. It was, you know, that's just been where my head's been at lately, and I think it was being back on Earth and having real tacos in my system or something again, or I don't know. But man, it was shoot, that's a damn. All right. I'm glad I did, to put it clear. I just, yeah, right? Must be slowing down.
Maybe, you've surrounded yourself with good influences for a change. And he looks at Maeve.
Yeah, I was going to say, specifically, both of us look at Maeve. Like, I mean,
she just puts her hands up and goes, "Don't look at me. I can't do a thing with him."
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I think you've had
Anyway.
a very positive influence
I'll
on
get to
me,
work.
young Mr. Lane.
I'll get to work on those projects, shall we say, as soon as I can.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan. I'll probably be by again. I mean, I genuinely can't believe all this, Marcus. It's kind of wild.
Trying to build something.
Well,
Something
I
better
feel like you kind of done
than
it.
what we had. Work's
Yeah.
not done.
Well, hard work never is.
First step is keeping San and Tokyo independent.
I can appreciate why that is more important now than ever.
I'm glad you do. And we'll say that he's sort of like walking you to the door at this point. But as you sort of reach that front, the big double doors at the front of the building, he stops and he says, "Can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think I'm glad you came back."
Don't curse nothing now, Marcus, but I feel much the same. I am surprised to be enjoying my return to Earth. Do you know I almost got shot out at a bar today? That was fun. It's been a while.
You mentioned that seems to happen to you a lot.
Well, I mean, yes and no. More so than one might hope. Less so than has been thus far disastrous. But yes, true. I'm no stranger to the violence of public drinking.
As you start to like turn to go, as you're saying your goodbyes, he's gonna actually like put his hand out for you to shake, and he's gonna kind of pull you in and wrap his other arm like around your back a little bit in a very manly clasp.
Right, a brotherly hug, if you will.
And a brotherly hug. But as he does so, he says very quietly, so that only you will be able to hear him. He says, "Built all this, Dallas. Every day I am terrified that I will lose it. And I say this because maybe you should look at what you've built and be a little more terrified that you might as well."
I don't think Alice was going to respond like in kind in that moment, but I think if anything, maybe in a voice that might be too soft for Marcus to hear, it's going to come out as too late. And yeah, that's going to be a hard reality for Ellis to get across to Marcus if that comes to that. Is it like, oh yeah, we're already past that point. Ellis trying to build things many years ago. The Scrappers Union shit is
the
aftermath.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You don't know if he heard you or not, and you probably never will. But as you step out the door, he closes it behind you. You sort of look back and you see him and Eleanor walks up, standing next to him. She's like got a rag in her hand. She's drying her hands off. He puts his arm around her, pulls her in close, kisses her forehead again, and then the door shuts on that, leaving the two of you outside.
First and foremost, I would like the record to show that I was correct in that he was both a romantic and a softie. So, one for Maeve.
That's in
Yeah, but he's still
character,
the
right?
worst.
I want to establish that that's Maeve Delaney saying that.
Yes! I might have misread every other NPC we have met to date. However,
You were right about Marcus Pike.
Yes, Maeve, you are correct.
the man who threatened you when we first met him.
Everyone threatens me if they know me, Maeve.
No, normally I trust the people who don't threaten us, and then later they threaten us.
Oh, well, that's fair, yeah. Normally
So
there's at
clearly
least
the
some
lesson to
amount
take
of...
away from this is that you should only
Trust people who
you
threaten
should
us
only
right off
trust
the
the people
bat.
who
Yes,
threaten you up front.
correct.
Right.
Azumi
Yes.
is probably
Those are the
a
ones
total
to trust.
sweetheart if we took the
Yeah,
time to
she's
get to know
super
her.
trustworthy, yeah, exactly. She wanted to
Honestly,
kill me immediately.
maybe, who knows?
She is probably going to be our best friend after this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sure. She's definitely going to love us, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's Maeve's takeaway from all
So you
of
have
this.
Yeah, you have that moment of, you're both a little, Ellis definitely still a little sort of in shock from all of the like
Yeah, for sure.
warmth and, stuff you were not expecting to experience coming back here after,
Right.
years and years of being gone. Maeve, sort of basking in that knowledge that you were correct for once about a stranger.
A tiny little
and,
piece of Maeve's faith
you,
in humanity is restored.
just ever so small. You pull out your handheld to call an autonomous ride to get you back to the campus, but there aren't any in this like part of town at this time of night. You know that they like tend to avoid these like unsafe parts of the city. The companies that own them always say that there's too many like carjackings, there's too many getting stolen, things like that. So you probably are gonna have to walk a little bit of distance away before you can catch one on like a main thoroughfare. And as you do so, you start walking through your old neighborhood of in San Antonio. Are you like pointing out things to Maeve? Is that something that Ellis might do if he's feeling sentimental or something?
I think it's more that he's just kind of noticing them, and if Maeve asks about them, maybe he'll share something. But no, I don't think that he himself is like openly sharing with Maeve about what this area is. Mostly because he's still very much reminiscing and thinking back on like everything that just happened that doesn't make a ton of sense to him, and reevaluating the kind of I guess assumption that he was going to have to deal with Marcus. Of like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to fight that guy at some point. Now it's or not, I guess. Like, this is very strange.
Great.
I don't have to kill him. What?
It's crazy. It's wild to think about. But
madness.
Yeah, Maeve, I don't know if you'd actually be curious about any of this, but you could point out like, oh, this was the street corner where we used to keep watch for like the older members of the gang to make sure that nobody was coming by. You walked past like a liquor store that you tried to rob once, and the owner just laughed at you.
Yeah, for sure, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, exactly. There's that place. Oh.
And Ellis, at a certain point, as you start to as you're doing this, you like turn down the street that is going to lead to like the main drag where you'll be able to get one of these cars. You start to hear footsteps behind the two of you. Maeve maybe you don't really notice or you don't think twice about them, but Ellis, you start to hear like multiple sets of steps behind you.
Give me a better breakdown of what the scene is. We're walking down an alley or down the street?
Sure. It's an alley, we'll say.
Okay.
And you take a shortcut, essentially. But because it is an alley, there are cobblestones. It's not like concrete. And so you can hear these like footsteps a little bit louder where you actually notice them. And you know enough to know that if you can hear them, they're weirdly close to you. And we'll even say that you can see a handful of like distorted shadows sort of being cast from the light behind whoever it is up on the wall. But obviously you can't see any details or anything like that. So you're in this alley, you know there are people behind you. You don't know for sure that they're following you, but something in Ellis's brain
Spidey sense,
is,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my camera was unhappy for a second there. But yeah, something about Ellis's experience tells him that this is dangerous.
So how far are we from kind of the end of the alley and it opening up again?
Just like maybe 50 feet.
Farther. And basically what I'm looking for, is there anywhere that I can like put Maeve directly out of the line of fire? Or like behind something that would at least absorb some bullets?
Shove me behind a dumpster.
Yeah,
basic idea. Yep. Is there a doorway?
What I'll say is as you start to think about that, you hear a gun cock. And
well then,
I want you to roll act quick.
No, what Alice is going to roll is Alice is going to pull a quick draw, which is if there is going to be violence, I go first.
Well, so I was basing the act quick off of pushing Maeve out of harm's way.
Oh yeah, then okay, yeah, 100%. That's going to be my first move. Is that I am going to push her out of the way, and then I name a crew member, which is Maeve Delaney, and she is going to have advantage going forward.
Ooh.
Okay.
And
so
I'll probably need it because my volatile is -1.
A solid 8.
Okay. Solid 8. That's very good. You can do it, but you choose one. You're going to be off balance with disadvantage going forward. You leave something behind, and I will tell you what, or you're pushed to your limits and you suffer 1 stress.
I'm going to take a stress.
All right.
We have 3 stress.
You take a stress. So you push Maeve, basically, like you start to pass a dumpster. You hear a gun cock behind you, and you immediately shove Maeve basically into the dumpster. Maeve, you hit it, and you kind of like it knocks the wind out of you a little bit, but you fall down behind it, and you're out of harm's way. And we're gonna move into combat, but before we do that, why don't we take a little break and leave our audience on the edge of their seats for a few minutes?
Cliffhanger.
Good, because I need water.
Cliffhanger for breaks? I know, yeah, me too. It's so dry. Thanks so much for watching and sticking with us. We will be right back with some exciting alley knockdown dragouts, and we'll see how that plays out.
With the one
so
non-combatant on the team.
You'll be fine.
Exactly. You have a big wrench. You'll be
Do
fine.
I have the big wrench with me today?
That's up to you.
That is up to me.
Yeah, I kind of.
I guess that is how that works.
It is. So we'll be back in like 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, and we will pick right back up. Hello, everyone. Nope. Uh-oh.
Hello,
What has
indeed.
happened?
Oh my.
Yeah. What are we doing here? There it is. There it is. We figured it out. We're back. Welcome. Thank you for sticking with us and not going anywhere. We're not messy. Making sure everything is good. Yeah, it seems good. Thank you so much, Dishonest. Welcome. Welcome. So yeah, you heard a gun cock behind you. You pushed Maeve out of the way.
Yes.
Let's get right into it. What is Ellis gonna do?
I mean, I guess spin on my heel and draw the gun, the welcome wagon, such as the gun.
In the in its pistol form, I assume.
We're in an alley.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with shotgun.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally good with that. So yeah, you pivot on your heel and you see two people dressed head to toe in black. Black shirts, black pants. They are wearing black masks as well, like full sort of like yeah, you know what I mean. Their faces are completely covered, and presumably they can see out of it, but you can't see anything. They are also wearing black gloves, and you can see that both of them have guns.
What? How dare they?
I know. How dare they bring guns to a gunfight? So, you're quick drawing your shotgun. Are you just gonna try to unload?
No. I mean, I'm waiting to see if they.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess
for
not.
Sure gonna.
Yeah, if they've drawn and it looks like they're going to shoot at me, then yes, I will fire first. Because that was what you were saying,
both,
right? They have pistols drawn.
Right.
Okay.
They do, yeah, and they both level them at you as you turn around. So
yeah.
if you
okay, time to go. Time to do a firefight.
Let's do a firefight.
There was
Roll
a
2d6
firefight. I will do so in the location. Double checking my.
So are you discharging your shotgun?
Do I have to decide that ahead of time?
I don't.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. I think you're right. Actually, I think you can decide when you want to do it, which is fine. Actually, you have to pick it as a firefight option. So you have to succeed on firefight well enough to pick that.
Yes, got it. So I have chosen. I have hit 8, which is a successful firefight, and then I get to exchange harm and choose 1.
Yes.
Okay. My apologies. I am rereading this for the first time in a while.
No, you're good.
All right.
We have not played in like a month, and we have not done combat in even longer.
Okay. The deal with the discharge tag as well is once I've discharged it, I need to disengage to recharge it before I can fire it again, right?
Correct. You can use recover as an action in combat to get your discharge. Yeah,
let's do that though. Let's discharge it against whichever one of them's on the left.
Okay.
And that cowpoke's going to take 6 harm of the messy variety.
Sure is. So I think you sort of like just turn on your heel. You've got the welcome wagon out. You sort of like slot the shotgun into the pistol.
Yeah, I think it's like the pull and then like the rotate, and as it rotates, it swings out like the shotgun end.
Oh yeah. And so you they were not expecting that at all. And so the one on the right, who was slightly closer to you, you just fully like unload shotgun blast at them, and they fully sort of fold in on themselves, get knocked off of their feet, and hit the ground hard on their back. You don't know if they are dead, but you don't see them getting back up from that. They just took a shotgun blast full in the chest. And the other one, though, is going to exchange harm with you. And you are going to get shot for 1 harm from the pistol.
My shield discharges.
Cool. Nice. Very cool. So we'll say that is
So then after that, I believe Ellis will take a moment, and not as like a function of anything. This isn't like a steely glare, but it's the really? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, is this what you want to do?
Okay, very cool. The one that is still standing is actually going to drop the pistol, and reach into their large black cloak. And they pull out a cylinder in their hand. They press something on the handle, and this metal segments start popping out of the top and building on top of each other until it has a curved blade. So it is like a sword that pops out of this, out of the handle, essentially.
Huh.
And they are going to quickly run at you to move into close combat.
All right.
How would you like to respond?
Are we
actually, I'm gonna say that they sort of run at you. It's very anime. They have the sword out to the side as they're running, because it makes them go faster. And then as they get to you, they sort of sweep it up in an arc, and slash at you. And that would be, I believe, 2 harm. Yeah, that would be 2 harm that you will have to account for.
Well, so by the system rules, don't we only exchange harm when I roll firefight? Or
so that's a part of firefight, but I also get moves that I can take as the Space Master, and one of them is just straight up deal harm.
Okay. All right. So that's body armor absorb too. So
okay,
go ahead, slash into me if you must.
Yeah.
If I remember armor, that's now broken. Is that how that works?
It's not broken. It is it has absorbed 2, and then that's pretty much all it can do.
It's discharged or damaged if it cannot. Yeah. Okay.
Right, exactly. So he slashes you, but whatever body armor you wear under your coat stops you from getting cut open, essentially.
Yep.
As they do so, he says, you recognize that it is a male voice that speaks to you from underneath the mask as he slashes up, and he says, Azumi sends her regards.
Oh, she's dumb as hell. This is so fucking dumb. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to kill her before I even do anything else. This is the worst.
I would like to try and do a thing.
Yeah, what would you like to do?
I think at this point, Maeve is going to literally try to chuck a wrench at the back of the head of this person.
Okay. All right. I will call it he is super distracted and you are not at all the goal. So I'll call it an alpha strike.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Roll plus calculating with wrench.
You can roll plus calculating.
So that is going to be an 8 altogether.
Okay. Very cool. You can choose one, disarm or disable them. Your position isn't exposed or compromised, or deal your weapons harm. And if your weapon has the discharge tag, you may discharge it to double the harm dealt. You don't have discharge on your wrench, but you can deal the harm, or you can choose disarm or disable, or that you are not exposed or compromised in your position.
One second. I am trying to look up what the exact ruling on what disarm or disable means.
So there isn't really one. It's pretty much up to interpretation. So it could
Okay.
be that you knock him unconscious, but it could also be that he just like you break his arm or he drops his gun or something like that. Disarm, disable, dishonest.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for disarm, disable, and say
Okay.
that yeah, I hit him in the back of the head with a wrench, and I
Okay.
think he's going to drop his sword.
Yes, that makes total sense. You are gonna, yeah. He drops his sword. It sort of lands point down in the in between the flagstones and just kind of like stands there. It stays standing up. But he absolutely stumbles forward from this wrench to the back of the head. And there's a exclamation of pain. Absolutely. Ellis, what are you doing with this unexpected opportunity that Maeve has provided?
Free sword! I'm gonna fucking take his sword and try and slash him in half. Like in a smooth motion. It's literally just like, ooh, free sword. And just, like, cut him in half.
All right. Very cool. You do you wanna roll firefight?
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. It's gonna be firefight.
With a volatile.
That's an 11.
Very good.
Okay, so
that's huge.
I am going to impress, dismay, or frighten my enemy. I am also going to, after I have done my things, discharge so that I can, or take a moment to recover, disengage, so I can refill my discharge items. And I don't think there's a way to make an advance, and I don't know that I need to hold a position, so I will take evasive action and suffer -1 harm. So those three are take evasive action, dismay or frighten him, and disengage and take a moment to recover.
Okay, very cool. You slash him with his own sword. Yep. And he is hurt. You cut him and he starts bleeding from
I'm keeping the
chest.
sword too. Like I'm holding on to it.
Yeah. I figured, because he's not dead. I figured you just sort of slashed at him. He stumbles and he is he looks you can't see his face, but by his body language he stumbles and he sort of almost crab walks a bit back from you to try to get away from you.
Where are you going, soda boy?
But he when you cut him, you cut his shirt, the shirt that he was wearing, obviously, and sort of as he like crab walks backwards, it sort of slips off of his body, and there's something strange about him because there's this metal circle in his chest with some kind of it's like surgically implanted into his chest, it looks like.
But it looks mechanical. It's like a mechanical circle.
Yeah, sort of. It's metal, absolutely, and it has a panel in the middle of it that is like green. It also extends outwards. In like there are like points on like his elbow and his bicep and his wrist, just like other metal like nodules almost. And as he
on seeing
backwards,
that, oh no, go ahead. So what happens? He stumbles backwards.
No, as he stumbles backwards, he is going to take his hand and he's going to slam the middle where that green section is, and it turns red, and he starts convulsing.
And I'm going to shout, "Maeve, EMP grenade!"
I chuck an EMP grenade.
Okay.
And I will now check that also on my gear slots. Because I now have my wrench and an EMP grenade.
Mm-hmm. And I think Ellis is out of gear slots too, right?
Yep. That's why I took the sword.
That
Because
makes
that
sense.
doesn't count against my gear slots,
Okay.
but I have shotgun, body armor, shield. So
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So, Maeve, you chuck a grenade, which is going to be firefight. So roll with volatile.
I am going to choose to use that advantage that Ellis gave me earlier.
Ooh, all right.
For I think what is obvious reason.
Obvious reasons.
Which is good because that one would have killed me. So that is actually go. Oh, but it's my volatile is -1, so that's still only a 6.
Oh no!
That's true. That's true.
So
I mean, if you know, if only there was like someone in the audience who had channel points to spend and could give you inspiration, but
What?
unfortunately,
Oh shit! How do I do that?
yeah, because that would be a +1, and that would be like a 7, but like somebody would have to do that, and I just don't see that happening. So I guess
Wait.
unfortunately, that's
I have done it.
you have done it. That's very fair. All right, cool. So that's gonna get you.
I wasn't sure
That's gonna
if
get you a
players were
+1.
allowed this as well because I have such a stockpile of
I
channel
have
points for our
not
own
been
channel.
denied it
Yeah.
yet.
We're having fun. That's all that matters.
I would say definitely don't spend it on yourself.
That seems.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah,
I think that seems fair. That seems fair.
Yeah.
That's more than fair. So yeah, you have a +1,
barely.
which gives you a 7. Just barely. You edge that in.
Just
Barely. Which is now enough.
You
To
get to choose one and exchange harm. So I think the way that the EMP grenades work is that you get instead of dealing harm, you can choose to disable electrical and energy-based technology used by your target.
Yes,
So you
that's
get
how
to
the
pick one.
EMP.
I
So
would
that's
say
like
that-
the thing instead of dealing harm. So that's the automatic.
Right.
And then it's
Yes.
however
Yes.
I would be working.
True.
So, but they're gonna get. So somehow there is going to be an exchange of harm from this, unless I choose to try and avoid that specifically using the one thing I get to do.
Yeah, the evasive action and suffer -1 harm. Yes.
Yeah, I guess I assume I'll do that because I don't see how anything else is relevant. Because as far as I know, there is no advance at this point in the exchange of violence. They kind of seem like they
Absolutely.
were trying to tap out, so in their own way,
Yeah.
as it were.
So you chuck an EMP grenade and it goes off in like a small pop of light. And what you end up disabling, it's pretty clear to you, was whatever this thing was doing, something was stopping it from doing it too well. Because in the wake of your EMP grenade, the convulsions get stronger and stronger. Like he looked like he was starting to regain his feet, and the convulsions were starting to subside. And when that EMP grenade goes off, it gets 5 times worse. And after a moment of that, the metal like balls on his joints and wrist and things start to shake and then eventually pop off in a spray of green liquid.
Oh.
And he falls to the ground. That same green liquid sort of starts like coming out of his mouth and his ears and his nose, and is almost like he's crying. And yeah, he's fully dead. He drops to the ground. and it is laying there in a pool of whatever was being circulated through his body by this machine that you've EMP'd.
I now want to look more closely again at the person who got the discharged weapon from earlier.
Cut in half by a shotgun. Yes.
Yeah.
Is she in a?
Well,
The
you don't
first
know.
person. Are they in a pool of green?
The first person. No, they're not in a pool of green. They are in a pool of blood. They just fully got shot by a shotgun. They did not get cut in half, but as you lift their shirt up, you do see that they were a woman, and you do see that same panel and those same devices. But when the shotgun blast hit them in the chest, it looks like it sort of broke whatever mechanism they would have been able to use to do what a second person did.
Alice's version of an EMP, right? Shoot it with a shotgun.
Right. Exactly.
I wanna look closer at this. Maeve is like going into tech mode and wants to try and see if she cannot figure out what this is.
Maeve, I'm all about autopsy, and believe me, I'm down to haul these two somewhere safe. But right now we're in an alley, and most likely they were not the only two people sent to kill me today. So why don't we grab one you like the look of, and then we'll go take them apart in the basement.
Then we take the woman. Her system is still intact. I don't know what the chemicals are. I don't want them on.
And I grab the other guy with like bits of trash or plastic bags or whatever and toss him into the dumpster and slam the lid shut and grab her, both halves, and we walk up.
Very fair. All right, where are you taking this corpse?
I would toss her into trash bags if there were any trash bags that we could do.
Okay. Yeah, you can empty one of the trash and like jury rig a system where you're not obviously carrying a corpse.
Yeah. I don't know, where are we staying?
Suspiciously looking like we might be carrying a corpse.
Yeah. Where are we staying again?
You'd have to smuggle it. You'd have to smuggle it onto the Scrappers Union campus.
Oh, right. Yeah, do I know of anywhere that would be like a local abandoned building or something where we could just take this thing apart real quick, where Maeve might not get 2 days work, but like she can at least take something out of it.
This is Ellis's neighborhood. You can absolutely declare an abandoned building or an associate that he knows or something where you
an associate. I would say that like Ellis is like, oh yeah, the warehouse district was shut down. This such and such part of the warehouse district has been shut down for a while. There's probably an open stop. And yeah, and then we just kind of like pound our way in and give a shout of like, if anybody's squatting, leave us alone. So I can hold a flashlight while Maeve goes under the hood.
Yeah, you hear nothing in return. This warehouse was like probably some kind of like chop shop at some point, you're pretty sure. There are some like old rusted husks of cars, still some tools like left lying around.
Perfect.
Lifts, things like that. So yeah, you absolutely find an empty building and you have the corpse now.
All right, Maeve, you got maybe a couple hours, but we gotta, work fast.
I'll do what I can. And she like starts kneeling next to the body, and I think the first thing she does is she sort of stares at this woman's face and ends up like grabbing a rag or something and just covering the face, and then taking like a couple calming breaths before then she just very narrowly starts focusing on just like the metal bits and like trying to really pay attention to those and the disc above everything else.
Okay.
Alice is going to keep watch.
Cool. So I assume you are gonna be doing your do you want to do your what could this be? Technician move, I suppose?
Yeah.
Unless you have the intellect move study bug, which is pretty much exactly for this, but
unfortunately I do not, and I
Okay.
haven't gotten enough XP in a while to have anything in
That's fair.
the docket to pick up.
You
I don't
just
think
you just
anyway.
did too well in that combat.
Yes, that was me
Probably
doing
not.
great.
You threw that wrench at that guy, and it worked. So you're 2 for 2 with that wrench.
Expert combatswoman, Maeve Delaney.
Yeah.
Hey, the wrench
So you don't have access.
works 100% of the time.
It's true.
Just don't ever expect me to use any
Yeah.
like real guns.
Spanners solve problems.
The evidence speaks for itself.
Indeed.
So, yeah, I mean, I think what this is probably going to end up being is spout technobabble. I suppose in order to do that, you'd have to share expertise, which is essentially what you're doing because you're telling Ellis what this is.
I think she would be
So,
obnoxiously narrating everything that she's doing.
Yeah.
Even without an audio recorder.
Yeah, chef's kiss.
Subject is a 28-year-old.
So you're going to roll plus calculating, and your intellect move does come into play because this is one of your fields of expertise. This is engineering, technology, and devices.
Plus, you can pair it with my other expertise, which is medicine, biology, and alien physiology.
That is true.
Okay, so I get to roll calculating, you said?
Yeah, roll plus calculating. I'll give you advantage since I'll give you advantage since this covers 2 of your fields of expertise.
That's cool.
So
I don't need
one
it.
more d6. Yeah, but what if you did really well?
All right, fine. One more. So currently my score is an 11.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the 11.
It's an 11. Yeah. Cool. Oh man, I did it again.
I study the shit out of that corpse.
You sure do, and you definitely find some information. So with the intellect move, you can choose one more or one less option. So you get to pick from share expertise. You can ask a question related to the topic, and I will give you a useful answer, or I will ask you to make up the answer. Yeah. So that, and then you can ask me a question about the situation that relates to your expertise, and I will answer. And then ask you a question, which you must answer. And yeah, that's what I would recommend personally. So basically, you get to ask me questions, 2 questions, and then I get to ask you 1 in return.
Okay. Cool. I am first going to ask what seems to be the purpose of this system.
So you would have to figure out what this liquid is, but this system itself, the purpose of the system is distribution. So what it does is it spreads this chemical compound, whatever it is, throughout the entire body. And you're not exactly sure what effect it would have, but you can bet that it would have made them more dangerous in some way.
Okay. And then do I get my second question before you ask me a question?
Yes, because me asking you a question is from your expert move.
Okay. Then I'm going to I guess then my next thing is going to be, what is this chemical? Like, what's the, like, at least the type of chemical it is? Like a steroid or something completely different?
It is a cocktail of things. It is more like steroids and pure adrenaline then you're fairly confident the human body should be able to safely handle.
Okay.
Like, it would definitely make them more dangerous. It would make them stronger and able to like fight through wounds. They might not feel pain as much, but you're pretty sure that it would kill them in the process, which makes this kind of a weird move.
Okay.
Yeah.
I narrate all of this to Ellis, by the way.
Okay.
I think he's even like getting annoyed about how much
Yeah.
I'm talking because he's like, we are supposed to be stealthy about this. And I'm like obnoxiously talking about just exactly what I'm doing and what I'm finding out, and just like a running stream of like chatter about this corpse that I'm like dissecting.
Well, Ellis dissected it. You're just going over the bits.
The bits.
The bits.
The bits. All right. I get to ask
And I
you
think
a question
that's
now.
Sorry, what was that?
I get to ask you a question.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's about that time. All right.
It sure is. Maeve, you start to feel unwell. And just, I guess, just imagine that there's a question mark on the end of that sentence. You start to feel unwell?
Oh no.
Because that's my question. You start to feel dizzy and nauseous. You like catch yourself on the edge of the table that you had like laid this body out of, and you manage to stop yourself from falling, from your legs giving out from under you, but you're just sort of overcome by this wave of illness. And then I guess my actual question is, what do you do?
So she caught herself, but I don't think she like tries to actually keep herself supported. I think she just like catches it to like keep herself from completely dropping, and like lowers herself, like still in a sort of like a thump, but like slightly less jerky about it. And I don't think she even tries to fight the nausea. I think she just gets on her hands and knees and like starts throwing up.
Whoa.
All right.
What
Ellis,
the
you see-
hell? Maeve, are you all right? What's going on?
I don't know, and she just like starts like herking again. But like I think she's at this
Yeah.
point kind of emptied her stomach.
Yeah, all right. So time to go. So Alice is gonna basically like shoulder up Maeve and like, all right, time to go home. Enough killing in warehouses for tonight. Okay. Make sure you got your wrench. All right. And then we're going back to the Scrappers unit because Alice has no idea what to do with, we're throwing up because of goo. Maybe I don't know.
If Ellis doesn't stop her, and I can say that this happened before her blah, she absolutely took the disc.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have stopped you
from
from
the
doing
chest?
anything. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
If it was covered
Cool.
in like eviscera, she would have like wiped it off as best she could with like another rag
Yeah.
from this like chop shop. Before like sticking it in whatever bag or anything she generally has on her that she carries her random wrenches and EMP grenades in.
Very cool. All right.
But
yeah,
she,
have that disc with you
she's a
100%.
little tech gremlin. She can't resist the idea of picking apart the finer bits of this later and figuring out more about it. Even as grossed out
Absolutely. Okay,
and,
cool.
hating every moment of this as she is.
All right.
Gross.
Yep.
Cool. Very gross. Very disgusting. So Ellis, you are carrying Maeve over your shoulder. You've been doing a lot of that recently. You've been carrying a lot of things. Kind of a crazy night.
Yeah.
How's Ellis
Yeah.
feeling about what's been going on? Like you had this heartfelt moment. It was very nice.
I mean, this is about probably what Ellis expected from coming back to Earth. Two people trying to kill him in an alley seems to check out. I think mostly... So he's definitely going to shoot Marcus a message of like, yeah, timetable on Kyrie is moved up. I just had to clean up, 2 problems related to that. I think that's the biggest annoyance. It's like, oh man, I really wanted to use her as a pawn in something larger, but now I might have to go shoot her in her garage. Ah, shit.
Gosh.
Ugh.
What a shame.
Problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're headed back to your room. You're headed back to the suite that you have on the Scrapper Union campus. And I think since we're down 2 players, we'll probably call it there. But I think what we will say is, Maeve, as you are being carried back, sort of sack of potato style on Ellis's shoulders, your vision goes a little blurry, a little fuzzy at the edges, and like the city that you are moving through, the streets of San Antonio's east side, gets very blurry for you, and then it gets replaced by the red sand of Mars. Your vision is sort of hazy on the edges, but you see Mars. You see like the hills near Nephilim range. You recognize like some of the topography. You feel the warm wind on your face. It feels exactly like you're there.
Huh.
And yeah, it's very, very strange, but it feels almost comforting. Yeah.
She throws up one more time down Ellis's back for good measure.
So
Good,
glad
good.
that this coat is waterproof.
Exactly. All right. And so we'll pick up with that note like in 2 weeks. Ideally, we'll have to see. Everybody's schedules have been a little insane recently, but it'd be super cool to play on the 6th of February, which is when our next session would be. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our small, intimate Nephilim sessions. First time we've done something without the full crew, or at least 3/4 of the crew. I think it went pretty well. This was kind of like a fun little side quest adventure.
Mini side game, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very wholesome. And Marcus Pike, man, Marcus Pike.
Listen,
How
he's
about
got
that
feelings. He's a soft, sweet boy.
Yeah. He is. He's a real cinnamon roll.
Gentle in all ways, right? By the way, I'm going to tell him and his fellows about body in dumpster as well, to be like, I don't know, it's covered in acid or something. Fucking burn it, torch it, I don't care. Just like
Steroids, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the capability to clean that up and make that disappear. They're used to it.
I don't really care if they do. It was just part of the conversation of like, hey, we need to keep an eye on this person now.
No, Marcus definitely would have been like, yeah, we'll deal with it. You can't just leave bodies lying around, Ellis.
Since when? When did that change in this town?
Touche, I guess.
Kids these days.
So
they've grown soft.
God, you leave one guy bleeding to death in a gutter, and all of a sudden it's a public health crisis, and you need to talk to the police.
Yeah, it's weird, It's weird how like many eyes are now on this city because of its status as the hub to Takamagahara too.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
Don't like it. No, things were better before.
That's right. Change is bad and frightening.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Once again, we are live from the apocalypse. This is what we do on this channel. We play these games and we raise money. So please do that instead of donating. I'm sorry, please donate instead of subbing or giving us bits or things like that. Once again, if you would care to, if you liked what you saw, you give any money you would have given Amazon and Twitch and give it directly to Planned Parenthood instead. We would super appreciate that. We would love you forever. Thank you so much. If you joined us tonight for the first time, if you've watched us before, if you followed or chatted or donated or subbed or whatever, we really appreciate it. We are only able to keep doing this because of you and your support, and it means the world to us. So thank you so much. If you want to keep up with our schedule, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at live from the APOC over there because Apocalypse does not fit. Will it let me post that? It will not because it's too close to our Twitter handle, or because it's too close to our Twitch channel. Whatever. Live from the APOC, cut off the second half of the sentence. If you just start typing it, you'll find us. You can also join our Discord server if you'd like to keep up with us that way. We post updates for our schedule, what we're doing. It's also just a great community full of a lot of great people who hang out. Sometimes we watch bad movies. Sometimes we play games together.
Tomorrow we're playing games.
Vibe and that's true. We are. We're playing.
We have a community night tomorrow. It's
we do. Community night Among Us tomorrow night. If you want to do it, get in the Discord. The link's right there. We would love to have you. It's a great place. A lot of cool people. Next stream should, on Tuesday, day after tomorrow, be the second session of Missing Numbers, which is our Pokemon TTRPG that we play. We've only done one session of this and it was a lot of fun and I can't wait to play more. I play in that game. I don't run it and that's a very nice change of pace for me. So feel free to come hang out. Andy's going to play Beholder on Thursday and then next Sunday is going to be Pulp Diction, which is our Call of Cthulhu game that Andy runs. Yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff in the works. So follow, hang out with us, talk to us. We would love that so much. But on that note, we're going to call it a night. So thank you all so much and stay great.